What's up? We're back. All right. So let's go through the changes that I finished up last time. They are pretty straightforward, I would say. And there's some minor kind of issues I noticed with the camera controls that I want to address. So, gonna think about that as well as some other stuff. One second. All right. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. All right. So let's get started. So let's just go through the changes from the last stream. I think it was yesterday. And so, yeah, all I did was kind of increase the board size to 32. And that's because I came up with some math about where the initial game objects should be placed. And one thing I'm going to have to think about is this is a two-player game. It is not one player. It is not three-player. It is not as many players as you want. It's an exactly two-player game. So, excuse me. So right now, all we're doing is just placing these models on the board, and it's really for the first player or current player or whatever you want to call it, right? So if I were to run the game, we can see this kind of thing here, and it should have the same stuff on the other side as well. And we also want to think about players owning instances of units. It seems like it might be fair to think of these as units. Similarly, players will be able to place units that will actually be able to move and perform attacks. These ones will not be moving or performing any attacks. So right now we're just placing the models, and it's all in the board manager code. So I think the next thing we're going to do is think about placing units, and a unit is going to wrap a model. But yeah, we're not there yet, but we're going to get there. So I think that should be on the to-do list. Let's see. So we're up to the 30th. Yeah, this was yesterday. Yeah, we were kind of just trying to do that. It's great that we figured that out. So if we look at 11:30, let's kind of refactor the concept of rendering models on the game board to placing units on the game board. Yeah, I think that's a good start for something to think about. One of the things I really like in the game Mechabellum is when you place a unit, it falls in from the sky with gravity. So we get to play with some cool stuff. I really want this game to have kind of like a holy or godlike or Dungeons and Dragons-esque theme. So I could see units kind of being placed and appearing in like a holy light, or maybe even in a shroud of darkness if they're more of like a demonic or evil unit. That could be very interesting. But yeah, let me also update the name of the stream because we are on, pretty sure we're on day 11, but you know, who's really counting? I'm going to count it as day 10 because I'm struggling already, and I'm just glad I'm making progress here. So great. So we're going to think about that next, and then I can't wait. Basically, the next thing I want to do is like, okay, so once we're placing units on the board for players, I'm going to change this button so that it lets you place the holy night. So instead of being just a button that does nothing, it's going to be a holy night button. So then you can click on it and you can choose where on the board you want to place it. And then you can place it and it'll belong to you. So let me write that down as well. And then we're just going to refactor the menu/button to allow the user to place a holy night under their control as a unit on the game board. Great. Alrighty then. So yeah, let me tell Claude to commit the changes that we've got so far. Commit and push all of the changes. I keep getting these copyright warnings for the music, and I think I know how I'm going to fix this. Basically, I'm going to have to create music for the game, and we're going to start listening to that soon. So, if anyone knows anyone that would have interest in producing music for a game like this, I would love to get connected. But until that, we're just going to listen to this work music playlist. Alright, so it says we added a place model function to support models spanning multiple tiles. Place that and that, add position offset. Right, create that. Then that. We updated the constraints. Models are rotated 90. Sounds right to me. thoughts about what kind of a refactor we're trying to do. Let's see. High-level design pattern, core concepts, emerging concerns, unit data, stats, allegiance, behavior. Board placement, grid position. Oh, yeah, sure. Visual representation, state. Unit, abstract base class. Properties, owner, health, tech, size. Let's rename static unit to... I don't know that static unit versus mobile unit is helpful. Yeah. Let's rename static unit to building unit. Additionally, the base class only needs to include a owner, is it better to think that doesn't so heavily rely on inheritance? For instance, we could just have I'm thinking it could be potentially easier if we just looks good. Let's simplify it. Unit class will have an owner. Remove all other properties. Owner, placement, position, and current position. All I do think we want a list of units for each player, but I want to make sure that we still have the two-dimensional grid. Expand on the implementation details or manager. I want to ensure that we keep a list of units for each player, but also the two-dimensional grid of game tiles for the board also continue to exist, as this is crucial. Cool. This is great. assuming it's going to go ahead and update these data structures, tile occupancy, player 1 and player 2 units in the place unit function. So we're going to take a look at this. center X and center Y thing is not really that useful because we're gonna have things that are asymmetric. Because I think I started with like a width. Let's look at unit details real quickly. How does footprint size work? We want to support include units that are symmetrically sized. 1x1, 2x2, or 3x3 units, as well as asymmetric units, 1x5, 1x3. Ensure that the implementation supports this. Awesome. Oh no, the music stopped. Oh, it's just an abrupt transition. Yeah, so by changing it to a vector, we can specify different sizes. I'm gonna have it do Holy Night details next, but let's get it just placing the cathedral and the barracks, and then we'll get the Holy Night, and then we can copy this for all of our units soon. We're gonna have a whole bunch soon. I have a bunch of ideas. That's where things are gonna start to get fun, allegedly. So this all looks fine. I mean, check if they're available. If not, throw an error and get out. Let's create the unit. Then let's calculate the position. Let's spawn the model. Put some stuff on there. Mark them as occupied. Add it to the unit list. Are they available? Mark occupied. Clear occupancy. Probably gonna have to think about some sort of blocking. Actually, that probably. Okay, so it says next step. Create. Uh-oh. didn't orient them differently. We want to like flip them, but this is a huge step in the right direction. It seems like orientation is going to be a big deal, but maybe orientation is implied by the player who owns it, right? So, great. Create a commit message and push the changes. Bunch in this. Honestly, the code looked fine. I'm gonna look at it briefly on the web editor before I sign off for this stream. Belongs to player 2. That will flip those. And we also just want to place the buildings differently because it should be symmetrical like a chess game, right? Because right now the queen is on the queen side here, but here the queen is on the king side, right? So we just want to swap them on the player 2 side. That's the vision I have for this game. But okay, cool. That all looks good. Cool, I'm really happy about this. And yeah, kind of happy about the progress we're seeing, and